Right, and we are back again, and we're going to talk about functions today in Rust. Now, last day we talked about loops, and I'm kind of doing these videos at the moment one day after each other because these are pretty standard, easy topics. But at some point in time, I will be hitting a different kind of interval, and then there will be a long amount of time in between my postings of Rust. Now, if you are a viewer and you're thinking, why am I not doing hacking content? Well, basically, this channel is for technology and cybersecurity. So actually, I'm fulfilling all the other needs for doing more technology on my channel. I've been focusing a lot on cybersecurity, and I really want to do a Rust tutorial. I feel this is interesting enough to go ahead and put in my channel. I feel stuff like JavaScript and all this kind of stuff is too boring to me, so not really a thing I'm going to focus on. Anyways, we're going to talk about functions today. Let's go ahead and tackle this. A function in Rust, basically, is a definition calling invoking, returning functions, and parameterized how do you say this? Parameterized. There we go. Function. Okay, so we define a function by using the keyword of fn, short for function, giving it a name, and we can create as many parameters as we would like that are comma separated. An example of this could be something like this. So a function called fn hello, we're gonna call it, pretty standard, and that's really it. Invoking it involves just calling the name itself, and of course hitting those arguments with some values. Illustration. So we have a function, we define it, we write some code, we call it, it's going to output hello from this function, everything is pretty standard. Returning a value, we use the return statement basically. And we can define what kind of return type we can get back from the function. I think this is about the time where I will go to my little sheet here. So function, we call it tests, and I want to find this as an integer. What's it like? 32 was called. Gonna return 0 and basically run test just like that and run the code. If nothing is okay, so it's working. So I'm going to print line, invoke the function. I'm going to write hello, run it, and we will have the function. Now, I want to make this fail. So I'm going to return a floating value. Let's see what happens then. Mismatch types. Expected I32, and because of return type pointing towards, this is a floating value point, that's going to be a problem. So can we actually do something like this? Typecasting? Does this work in Rust? No, it did not. So I'm just thinking, old C programming. I'm not really sure, or Java also, but we kind of need to return the actual type. What if I then remove the type and just run the code? It will then say, yeah, we're gonna try and, we need to actually give it a type. So for now, we would need a certain type. There is probably a way where we can abstract ourselves out of this to return some sort of object that can contain anything. But that's going to be an object then, or some sort of container or structure, whatever they call it in Rust. We don't really care too much about what they call it. So it's basically always the same thing we're going to look for whenever you're doing returning of values. It's like how to return simple values like integers and floating values and characters and stuff like that. And we know all that already now. And then you're going to look for how to return objects, because objects will contain values. Now, in this particular case, I don't think there's anything called objects, but maybe we will find out soon. And They give us an example here of us calling the function one more time, pretty easy. Function with parameters. Pass the value. So it's when a method invoke and store locations are created in each parameters, the value is an actual parameter are copied to them. Now, the following example declares a variable number or something like that, which is initially 5. The value is passed as parameter value to the mutate no to 0 function. What is that word? Functions. Alright, so we have a spelling error. Tutorial points, please fix that. After the function call, when control blah 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 blah. Okay, so we look at this code here. We have a function, create a number with the type of integers, 32 bits. We call the function, give the number variable to the function as an argument. We print out the number. Alright, so we do say that the function will return will get a mutable variable of this type. Well, that is the same type. And we put mod, or the mutable keyword, in front of it in order to make it mutable. And then we say that this number here is equal to that divided by 0. And it will then print out param is 0, because anything divided by 0, multiplied by 0 is, of course, 0. So you might think that things are being executed in the order you see. So what really happens here is that it calls the function, and then it will do something to the value, print it out. Now, what we see here is basically what you think maybe should not happen. I just want to explain this. This is a pretty standard pass by value thing going on. So you basically give the actual value of the variable to the function. So the value of the variable number will not change inside of this because it's passed to this new variable. What you would need is pass by reference, and that is what you do by using an ampersand. An ampersand is basically the same meaning whenever you are, well, it's the same thing as in C programming and stuff like that, and I'm lucky that I'm one of those that actually got C programming and assembly programming as a thing in my first education back in 1999. So what you're going to see here is call the function and you put an ampersand in front of the mod. And it's very language specific where you're going to put this ampersand. It's good to know it's going to be in front of the keyword because it needs to be mutable. Else it doesn't work right. And this is probably some of the things that's going to be weird. Why write mute there and there at the same place? It's just the way it is, right? So we will definitely try this code here, so to play around with it. Just first of all, we're going to run it. And the value is 0. Now, what happens if we take away this one and just pass number? Well, then the number will be passed, but we cannot really do anything to it. So we need the mod keyword in front of it because we have it right there. And the expected expression would be still to have a ampersand. What if we just put the ampersand in front of the number? Would that combination work in some way and we don't get any type of output? So it's very strict language. We kind of need to apply to the same way we did here below, and this is the way it is. So the value of number is 0. We're gonna go ahead and say where we're going to use these kind of things. You know, you are probably going to use these kind of things if you are in a situation where you would like to let the function of this particular case called mutate no to 0 if it needs to work with the variable, and whenever the work is done, that is the after in value, so that is the processed value, well, then you would need to pass by reference, right? If you just need the function to here and now do something specific whenever something hits a certain value or count or something like that, you would need to pass by value. That is the key difference between the two, and this is the way it's done. Passing string to a function, and then we're gonna create a value called name, a variable, sorry, and it's a string, and we will from the string function populate this with the tutorial point, and now it's an object. And we're going to display this and cannot access name after display. So that's going to be a normal, it's just then showing us how to do it. Nothing crazy here goes on. Let's just go back one more time. I just want to see function tuple. Yes, so go back here one more time, and let's create something like a let's call name and equal to, let's just try something out. So Daniel. I'm going to create a function here down below just to use some other things and call this function, call alter, now we should check name, just like that. And then we're going to do ahead and say name. And what we're going to do is say print line. And just to make it really boring, we're going to say print name. I'm going to check, call that, and put inside name. And of course, it looks a bit, I keep pressing Control S, bad habit. So we're going to run this code, and we will see some errors here. So it's going to say expected. So what we probably need to do here in this particular case is to add the type here. Let's go ahead and write the type of a string and see what happens in this particular case. And we're basically just repeating what we just saw, but it kind of still saying, yeah. So what I think is going on here, I'm not really sure about this, is that we probably need to call the, what was this again? String from this way of initializing our value, which is kind of funky. So you would probably see that Daniel was outputted now. And the best guess I have so far is that it kind of needed to be very specific. Let's remove it and see what happens. No. It's kind of good to play around with a language like this whenever you find it. So, whenever you play with it, I mean, just talking while recording and learning, it's gonna be weird, but we're gonna do it together, so that's a good thing, right? And it kind of tells us here, let's read this message. Say like, convert the identifier to snake case. Check name. So it doesn't like my camel casing, so okay, let's just do it like this and see what happens. And now we cannot find, oh yeah, I'm just being too fast here. Let's run one more time. And that kind of now just runs without any interference at all. So if I remove the word string now, it will say So this is probably going to be the way working with strings is a better way. So we could probably say chars here now, and we'll turn all the chars. Could not compile. Can't be formatted. So how would we actually output one character? Can we just do something like this? And we're just playing around, like position 0. No, we cannot do that. Okay, well, I don't really know. I don't want to guess. Oh, wow. I want to guess too much about this right now because we're just learning stuff, and all these kind of small hacks will come to us eventually whenever we're done playing around with the function. Let's just casually look through it all and see we got it all understood and done, and it's gonna be, at some point we could probably even try and use ChatGPT to, help us further with different kind of things. It The only thing about ChatGPT is kind of it just talks too much. Instead of saying like, so you have to always instruct it in not giving any specific gobbling, just saying like this is, you have to say like this with a short amount of words and stuff like that. I don't really know about that. So we're gonna stick to this for now and say this was functions.